Something's not right. You go to see your doctor, they check you out and tell you to get a scan and a blood test. You go to the hospital, they lay you down on a noisy machine that spins around you, take some of your blood. A couple of days later, you go back to your doctor's for the result. Your doctor walks in the room with a concerned look on his face and tells you that there's something growing inside you that probably shouldn't be there. This doesn't fill you with confidence. Words like tumour, blastoma, germinoma are mentioned. You're not entirely sure what that means for you, but you are certain that it's very bad. You start to get worried. Your family is already a lot more worried. The next thing you know, you're sent off to hospital where you meet up with the surgeon and they discuss with you all the possible ways that they can chop you open and look inside of you to see what the deal is. Because at this stage they're not quite sure if they can just hack out whatever it is that showed up on the scan. Before they even send you away to the operating room, just to make things even more uncomfortable, the nurses tell you that you can't eat anything for at least 15 hours before surgery. Great, you think. Now I'm about to be sliced and I'm hungry. What else could go wrong today? Just in case starving you isn't torture enough, they then tell you can't drink anything either. After 15 plus hours of not eating, not drinking, and trying to suck the juice off the swabs they use to moisten your lips, you are half wishing that the surgery would come sooner. If you manage to find a second to yourself, you'll get the chance to think about the worst things that might happen to you. You think, wow, this is serious. I might die soon. Me? This is happening to me? Bugger. As you realise that this sort of thing doesn't just happen to people or neighbours, you start to accept that you are going to have to put up with whatever is going to happen to you. It's time for surgery. They wheel you down to the OR. A surgeon tells you vividly all the horrible ways that they are going to slice into you and mess around with your vital organs, as they so love to do. Then some git shoves a mask on your face and tells you to count backwards from 100. Before you can say, why don't I just count up from 1? How easy is it to count down from 100? You start to get dizzy and black out. The next thing you know, you wake up. There's a hole in some part of your body that wasn't there before. You have a tube down your throat and a much greater appreciation of what stab victims have been through. You spend the next few days laying in hospital, in possibly the worst pain in your life, slowly getting better. You can't get out of bed until you heal up enough from the surgery. This wouldn't be that much of a problem if it wasn't for the fact that your toilet is all the way down the hall. Luckily, there are all sorts of bottles and pans that you can slip under the sheets and have a cheeky wee. Once you get over the embarrassment of other people having to handle your whiz, you can start to enjoy not having to get out of bed and go to the toilet in the middle of the night. You can just call one of your nurses and they take it away for you. Once you're feeling better, they'll get you to try and walk. You say, no worries, that's easy. Then forget that because you've been in bed and not using your leg muscles for the last month. You can't walk and fall flat on your face. Something almost just as bad as the intense pain you get from surgery is the immense lack of appetite from the prison-grade hospital food. You tell the doctors that you're feeling all better, and the next thing you know, they're hooking you up to a drip hanging from a tall metal pole on wheels that will have to follow you around for the next 3 weeks. The nurses, dressed in rubber hazmat suits, attach bags of chemo to your drip. The nurses are afraid to get any on their skin. Fair enough, you think, until you remember that the same hazardous chemical is going straight into your bloodstream. So now you can move and walk again, but you have to drag this great big stupid stick on wheels with you everywhere. Now the chemo starts to make you feel sick. Great. Just as I was starting to get used to all this hospital crap, now I'm throwing up my powdered roast beef and mashed potatoes. At least it tastes better going out than it does going in. So, you say to your docs, the worst is over, right? No more shitty surprises, right? Wrong. Now your hair starts to fall out. After 3 weeks or so of this, finally your immune system has recovered enough that you can hang around with your mates without too much risk of catching any deadly germs off them. But before this can happen, you're dragged off to hospital again, where you have to start the whole chemo process over again, and have to wait another 3 or more weeks till you are safe to re-enter society. Unless, of course, your doctors want to keep you having more cycles of chemo for the next 6 months. You've finished the chemo. The cancer cells that were once in your body have now hopefully all died.
Yay!
Now that you think you're finally in the clear, the doctors send you over to the radiotherapy, where beams of radiation will nuke the whole area where the cancer used to be, just to be sure it's dead for good. So they strap you to another table with another machine that spins around you, But this time, instead of harmless magnetic rays, like the CAT scan, it's highly concentrated radioactive beams. The small amount of hair that you've grown back from chemo is most likely going to fall out again. You have to go back to hospital 6 days a week for about 7 weeks. And if you're not sick from this treatment, you're extremely tired a lot of the time. And anyway, all that you've just been through is enough to make anyone tired. If you're lucky, the treatment all went well. You've been through a lot, and when you go back to school, you hope your friends know that even though you've just had to fight the big C, you're still their old mate, and could do with a bit of help from them.